I came across this hidden garden, and it is so darling. This is the sweetest garden that I've ever seen at a church in California. Who knew this little garden existed in the Bay Area? Overall, it's such a sweet little hidden garden. Who knew? So let's take a look at some of the plants here. There is a really large tree. This is an ornamental plum. It's Prunus ceracifera. It actually does produce some fruit, but the fruit is really small and not so tasty, but it will shed. It's usually used for ornamental landscapes, for its foliage color, and for its reliability, and also for its dark trunk color. And then just under that is some oak-leaf hydrangea. I imagine this is Snow Queen. It can get really large. I mean, this looks like it's about 7.5 feet tall, 8 feet tall. It looks really healthy. No flowers on it though, so I wonder about that. Maybe the pruning was done a little late. There are some Camellias that have been kind of pruned like a little bushy tree, it seems like. Some Nandinas here. There's a little hedge going on down here. It seems to be a mix of Camellia and Loropetalum, which I think is a little odd, but it's not so obvious. I think it would be better if it were all Camellias or all Loropetalums, but it's still nice. That one looks like an azalea. These roses are really common ones. Most of the roses here that are climbing are iceberg roses, and icebergs can be either grown as a shrub or grown as a climber, and when it's grown as a climber, it's actually pretty tall. How can you tell it's an iceberg rose? Well, iceberg roses are usually white in color. They have a spray of roses, so it's a cluster of roses that come on. When there's a snap of cold, there's usually some pink splotching happening on the petals. And it's pretty open and loose petaling, not too many petals. Usually the foliage is lighter green and there aren't too many thorns. They're not super showy, but they're so elegant and pretty. It's one of my favorite roses. It's timeless. It looks good in all sorts of garden styles. There is like a Sally Holmes rose over here too. Sally Holmes does similar things. It does that pink splotching. It's white in color. They're a spray of roses, but it looks more like a pom-pom. So it kind of looks like a hydrangea flower, sort of, not really. When we go deeper in here, there are a few perennials happening. This really interesting perennial, Acanthus mollis, is looking a little scrappy right now because in summer it goes deciduous. Actually, if you live more inland, it's probably really looking rough. In Burlingame, there's some coastal influence, so it's still looking green and nice. It usually blooms in spring. It's kind of a love it or hate it plant. If you want to learn more about this plant, check out my plant ID video on it. Let's go straight into this vine. This is Pandaria jasminoides. It's also known as the Bauer Vine. It usually has pink flowers with a deep pink throat. It blooms in summer. It's an evergreen vine. From my experience, it actually prefers light shade. I've had a client who had this in full sun and it just was not doing well. It can get gnarly. I mean, it really does throw out a lot of shoots and you can just interweave them, but overall it's quite an attractive vine. It's tidy. It's just sweet. Not the prettiest flowers, but it's still overall attractive. front of us is a Japanese maple. Which one is this? I want to say it's bloodgood, but I don't think it is. I love plants that have this kind of muddy color. It's always nice to include plants that don't really stand out because it helps make everything else pop, like any sort of bright colors or white colors. Having this in the background really just pushes them forward. Over here, what is this? Is this a... Is this, oh gosh, I totally forgot the name of this. Is this Photinia? I think it's Photinia, which is also part of the rose family. It does have that kind of bronzy, muddy green color with the new growth. Complements the Japanese maple. Down below here, there are some more camellias. And this one looks like a gardenia right here. So I don't understand why there's a mix of things, but it's still looking nice. It would just be nice if they were all camellias or all gardenias. This climbing rose, framing this archway. There are 2 iceberg roses planted here. So there's one right there, and then there's another right here. This one is a little more dense. There are many more canes, but then here is a little thinner. It could probably use a few more canes, but notice how there are just a few canes. You really don't need too many branches for climbing roses. Looks like there are about, I don't know, 4 main canes, and then all the lateral branches that come up. And the way to get more flowers from climbing roses is to take those canes and to really train it at an angle. So rather than training it upright, it's better to train it at a 45-degree angle. That's gonna get the lateral shoots to start branching out. I love how there's this little outdoor detail with the little birds and the pebbles. I imagine this gets filled with water for the birds. I have to say all the water features like this one really adds to, I don't know, this really serene and peaceful environment here. This is very doable for a home garden. You can create a little hidden secret garden, little nook like this if you have this space. And you don't need to get fancy with all the hardscape or like the built-in fountains, but it is very possible to make something inviting and sweet like this. Oftentimes we forget about what a garden looks like and feels like from the inside, and I think this is one of the nice parts about a garden, to be able to just look and peer and have this really nice view from inside the home, or in this case inside the church. It looks like a framed picture. I know this is a weird color for a church, but I think it's nice. It goes really well with this garden. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think. This is such a gem. I was just so happy to come across this last week, and I wanted to share this with you guys. If you guys want to visit, this is in Burlingame, California. It seems like it's open to the public whenever. It's called St. Paul's Episcopalian Church. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think. What a treat to be able to find this garden and to share this with you guys. Let me know if you guys know any secret gardens in your area or in the Bay Area or just California, anywhere in general. I would love to know and check them out.